What's happening, guys? It's been a while. I had a little bit too much to do in my personal life, so I've never found the time to really record anything. Even if I had the time, I was always stuck on what I should really record for y'all, so this is something for now. So my mic has been broken for a few months, so I hope to get it replaced so the video doesn't come out sounding muffled and terrible. Aside from all that, I wanted to start a series highlighting some pretty terrible games and some pretty good ones on Roblox. Now, I know that it's kind of childish, but you gotta remember that I grew up playing on this platform, so yeah. Now, I know that Roblox doesn't really care for quality control as long as their platform just keeps pumping out that revenue, but we also technically have a say on what exactly is being funded and pushed to keep appearing on the platform. So the real aim of this series is just to expose you to some good games while also highlighting some bad ones that I think you should just avoid overall, and hopes creators take a little bit more time and effort into their games. Now, this first game I wanted to check out was called 1.8 Arena by 3 grams of helium. I wouldn't say this one is bad compared to the other two we will cover, but for one, I think this game could turn out to be pretty good if they just reworked the overall feel of the gameplay and really fleshed out some of the kinks. When loading in, you can kind of figure out the whole shtick with this one. Just jump into the pit or burst people in a bridge duel just like you would on a Hypixel. The actual graphics are basic and Minecraft inspired, which I liked, and the overall look of the game is simple and charming. But of course, there's had to have been something that made me judge this game as fundamentally bad. In PvPing on Minecraft for version 1.9, the biggest focus when fighting is getting your opponent in a combo, in which they can't hit you back, but you can actually hit them. The specifics on why it works like that is a little too much, but all you need to know is that that's what makes PvPing in older versions fun. Techniques like the W keying or the S keying while strafing made that kind of PvP actually addicting. So what's wrong with this game's rendition of that formula? Simple, it just doesn't exist. There's barely any comboing in this game, and the swing speed for some godforsaken reason is stuck on this slow and petty slash. I personally didn't even bother to take a look at the bridge duel mode because when I could tell it just would be as bad due to not having the old combo system in place. You can also buy ranks. The ranks in this game, with their perks, are fair, and unlike the next few games, are not needed for you to enjoy the intended experience. The game isn't inherently garbage, but I do honestly think that if they incorporated what made the original version of Minecraft PvP fun, it would explode in player count and could definitely see myself returning. Alright, so next up on the list is a game called Jump Civilization. Inspired from a famous series online where a narrator and character in Minecraft parkours to ascend a social hierarchy, this game doesn't reflect anything from that and just takes its design and shits all over it. I can't even begin to imagine how many kids probably spent the initial 3 Robux to get 2 times cash on this mess, but from the almost 2 million visits, I wouldn't be surprised if the creator made some bank. The gameplay loop is so abhorrent and monotonous that I couldn't push myself to play more than 10 minutes. The game drops you on this grid design where you need to jump block to block while also keeping an eye on a hunger bar. With every jump, you increase your streak, even earn money. It doesn't seem that flawed at first until you realize that's all the game is. Just jump block to block, earn some cash, increase your streak, and then ascend to higher levels. It took me a second to figure out, but those landmarks you visit aren't just for show, and when you unlock them in the index, you can buy them with each one increasing your hunger bar scaling with how rare it is. Well, all honesty, you're jumping around, they're pretty much everywhere, and you can already see them when you go on to the next level, so it's not like they're really rare. A little unique, but still, if you wanted something more fun than this, you're better off playing some Obby. The money system in this game is also so painfully slow. You earn $1 on the first level and plus 2 on the second level, and I assume with every level it goes up by 1. Again, very boring. When ascending the tower, you don't add anything to your streak, which is also a little surprising because the shitty Obbies in between levels are a lot more fun than the grid on every level. There are also items in the game, but all of them are purely for griefing other players. How fun is that, right? The trails also don't seem to do shit other than being purely cosmetic. So yeah, just press your spacebar and bore yourself to death. Overall, if you wanted to put someone to sleep, this is the game you'd show them. Now, the final game on the garbage list is a game called Crunch My Butter by X10 or EX10. This game blew hot ass into my face. It's not even remotely funny how shameless some of these creators are in monetizing their game. Of course, I tried giving it the time of day, but it just kept letting me down. 100% every single time. Aside from the first 2 I mentioned, this game is what's wrong with Roblox today. Averaging a steady 2K players a day, games like this shouldn't be pulling these kinds of numbers. Now, I already played a few minutes prior to the footage shown, but I wouldn't say I progressed far enough. You load into the game and just walk around. That's it. There are 2 shops that really matter, and those are the worker shop and the upgrade shop. The worker shop adds workers onto your butterfield, and they all just walk around and making money. Now this seems cool and all until you realize the money they make is substantially worse than if you yourself just walked on the field. So what's the point of workers? Nothing, other than looking cool and dropping your frames every 5 to 10 workers added. Every time walking on the field, you add flavor to the butter with whatever flavor you unlocked, and these flavors are what also adds value to the butter. If you don't flavor them, over time they'll go back to the original state and just make you a few dollars. So I appreciate the game forcing a little activity and not just you sitting around and watching all day. But the biggest gripe I have with this system is having to refill your roller that flavors the butter. What an inconvenience having to literally stop and wait for something that is there just to make you want to buy the infinite butter upgrade, which of course would also cost you money or Robux. Value of the butter also doesn't seem to make sense, as walking into the same butter more than once gives you a higher yield of cash. Why is that? How the hell should I know? But of course your workers don't function like we do, and will just aimlessly run around costing you potential cash flow. I also find it really funny how when you get to unlock a new butter, you have to sometimes skip a few on the list because they only cost Robux and are only there to incentivize you to just skip the bullshit grind and just go do something that will actually yield you fair results. Now, when unlocking newer butters, you have to sit through this painfully slow animation. Why couldn't they just make it where I click it and I just have it in my inventory? I don't know. Mind you, that these workers wouldn't even maximize the use of these new flavors, as again, they walk around aimlessly. Moving on to the upgrades, you can increase your walk speed to make this game a little smoother, but guess what? Every time you upgrade it, barely increases your movement speed. The roller size, butter tank, and worker speed upgrades are the only thing that really help you at all. And again, increasing the worker speed barely helps, as these guys just run around aimlessly and don't generate any good cash flow unless you yourself are walking with them. Moving on to the worker shop menu, you can see you can add a worker with every rebirth, adding a few bakers, which also flavor the butter for you. So now the game starts becoming a watch and do nothing simulator. So as you progress the game, it starts deviating from being a hands-on experience to a sit back and just watch the numbers go up dumpster fire. And yeah, that's it. Just repeat the cycle until you've sunk 100 hours and wait for the next update, which will let you just keep doing that some more. Overall, things like UI, buttons to speed the gameplay, and a boring loop like this one made me say this game is just utter garbage and should just be avoided to spare you your sanity and your time. Now on to the good ones. Now there are some games that tend to push back against the slop games and making an effort to actually keep the platform entertaining for those with actually a functioning frontal lobe. Knife Duels is a game simply made by the Knife Duels team and is honestly growing on me more by the day. No required upgrades that cost Robux, and pretty much it's a satisfying gameplay loop. You simply load in, have some fun duels, and that's it. Games nowadays don't need to be some masterpiece where the aim is to shock users with how good it is. All you need is a fun gameplay loop that isn't too boring and doesn't get stale after 30 minutes of game time. So how does this game keep a grown man baby like me entertained? Well, you load in, click play, and just start versing randoms. There are multiple maps in the game, and the goal is simply to get 6 wins first. There's some cool parkour mechanics, and the actual knife mechanics are also fun. Right click sends your knife out, and a headshot is an instant kill. And when you're not hitting headshots, it takes 2 melee or range attacks to kill an opponent. Now, being a fun game, this game does have a few drawbacks. The first is matchmaking. Tell me why I'm pushing for a 40 game fucking win streak and I'm versing level 1 to 5 players with 0 game win streaks. Moreover, why would a game designed for flicking allow crossplay by default? Obviously, the players on mouse and keyboard are going to dominate most matches, as they can easily aim for heads faster than a controller or mobile player. Yeah, there's also aim assist, but I just don't see that helping as much. The match I do versus genuine good players, I have the time of my life just to replay and verse some level 1 player again. They promised to add a rank mode, which I hope is coming sooner rather than later, because I find it very boring versing new players all the time. The next good game I wanted to mention is Melaniacs. I don't know how to say the fucking name, but I would consider this game to be peak Roblox experience. I don't really know how to explain this game. It's as if you took Smash Bros and made it an arena game while also having really cool cosmetic and game modes. Maps in this game are fantastic, and the weapons are really unique enough to have their own abilities. There are multiple game modes like randomizer and capture ground, which keep the loop consistently interesting. The characters you unlock fairly easily as well, with each one having their own ability. And it doesn't take a genius to figure this game out, and I think it's also really fun to play solo or with a group of friends. I think if games like this flooded the charts, Roblox would stand to make a lot more money and also cater to a wider range of IQs as opposed to the other slop games. The final game for today's video is called Redliner. I don't even know where to start, but this game is simply adrenaline and fun. Fast moving and fighting game mechanics make this one of the best games to have recently come out of beta on Roblox. Again, a dueling based game that has a battlegrounds mode as well. The aim in the game is to take out your opponent and deplete their 5 stocks. Pretty simple. How you do it is up to you, with how many moves you can execute and how many guns you can use. There are a variety of guns, and of course there are also cosmetics for the guns that you can gamble for, which of course you do not actually have to pay for. All you need to do is complete your daily and weekly missions, and you can start rolling the bundles to get cool cosmetics. There are also 4 main guns you can buy fairly easily in the shop, each doing their own thing, of course. This game is overall just extremely fun to play alone or with a group of friends. This game peaked also pretty hard with its player count, but unfortunately it has started to see a sudden slowdown and even drop in daily players. The main reason? I'd like to think, simply put, people don't have the time to learn the game, which in my opinion only took me like 5 minutes and a good YouTube video explaining the stability mechanic. I think games like this are extremely hard to come by, as players nowadays want a simpler game to unlock with. Also, there really isn't much matchmaking, as I usually go against players worse than me. But the games where I actually verse good players are the highlight of my day. Legitimately, you'll have hours of fun if you verse good players on this game. I hope they add a rank mode, at least in the future, which fleshes out this complaint, because it really is the only thing holding this game back from being a perfect 10 out of 10 game. If you really want something fun and takes a little bit of time and effort to learn, this is 100% a game you should look at and enjoy. Okay, I'd like to take the time to really thank you to watching till the end of this video. I know it's been a few years since I've uploaded, but yeah, I kind of wanted to do like a commentary type video on certain games on Roblox, because honestly, I have a few friends that still play on the platform, and when they invite me to some really trash games, I just cannot comprehend how bad it has gotten over the last couple years. So yeah, if you find any cool games that you want me to review or just take a look at, please do not hesitate to post them in the comments. Other than that, you all have a good day.